Update: my partner, with terminal cancer, confessed that our children might not be mine. Original post. I'm at a bit of a loss as to what to do. I've already sent off for a DNA test, so this is more for the aftermath if they are not mine. We've been together for 7 years. We have twin daughters who are nearly 3 and bought a house together 5 years ago. She had a breast cancer diagnosis just over 2 years ago, and after intense chemo and radiotherapy as well as a double mastectomy, we thought we were in the clear. But it had spread to her lymph nodes and from there elsewhere. Earlier this year we were given the terminal diagnosis. I've been doing everything to make her as comfortable as possible and quit my job late last year so that I can look after all 3 of them better. Her parents live nearby, so they've been helping, but as they're quite old it's difficult for them. We were sitting in the sunshine this weekend together whilst the girls were with their grandparents, and she just started crying and talking a mile a minute. The gist of it was, after we bought our house, she started talking to her ex as I was always busy with work and she was lonely. They grew closer and they used to meet up quite often, which then led to things being rekindled. They'd been sleeping together for 6 months, which has led to the confusion as to who the father could be. When I asked when she stopped things, she said she didn't, and after he found out she was pregnant he stopped answering her and she hasn't heard from him since. Maybe the shock hasn't hit me yet or maybe it has, but I'm at a loss. My first thought is to run away. If the girls aren't mine, I'm not sure I can be a father to them if she's gone, as I'll always hold that resentment against her and it'll impact our relationship. I know the children are blameless, but I cannot have a relationship with them if they're not mine, and I think they're young enough that it's better for me to leave. Reading the top comments before the update. Finding out my kids might not be mine would be one of my worst fears. To be honest, it would hurt more than finding out they cheated. I hope for the kids' sake that they're yours. I'm not sure how I'd handle it because I'm not in your shoes, but the fact that she has a terminal diagnosis, I would think that I'd probably stay involved in their lives as their father and then start therapy to deal with all the emotions that come with it. Just because I wouldn't want them to be left to fend for themselves. If she didn't have a terminal diagnosis, it would be a whole other situation for me because I would know that the kids still had a parent to look after them. Since that's not the case, I couldn't abandon them even in spite of all my hurt and anger. It's not their fault and I don't have it in me to let them suffer because of their mother's mistake. From a legal perspective, if you're on the birth certificate, I think you'd end up supporting them financially regardless. I'm not a lawyer though, so I'm not 100% sure on that. As far as your wife, that's up to you whether you want to stay. I wouldn't fault you for leaving given the circumstances. And he definitely shouldn't let her condition influence his decision. Personally, I would leave her, no second thoughts needed. People who cheat are despicable. And she doesn't deserve his kindness or sympathy. That is a hellish nightmare scenario for sure. Your feelings are entirely valid. You need to determine whether the children are yours, then take the decision as to whether or not they're going to be part of your future life. Your wife is in a tragic situation, but what she did isn't any less excusable because of it. It sounds to me you've got 2 things going on, the betrayal from your wife and not wanting to be a single parent after she dies. And you're mixing them up. You have to pull them apart. Being the kid's biological dad and being their real dad are 2 different things. And you're mixing these 2 up as well. I would go to therapy. You need to untangle these 2 mix-ups to do what is best for you and for the kids. Also, those poor children are going to lose their mother and father at a very young and tender age. If you read about development, just because they may not remember you if you leave now doesn't mean that there will not be major repercussions in their lives. They will have major abandonment issues, trust issues, and attachment issues that will play out in their relationships throughout their lives. Yes. As someone with borderline personality disorder from childhood trauma, I wish this life on no one. I am 30 now and married myself, no children. And this still very much plays out in painful ways in my adult life. Just because you want to punish your wife does not mean you should punish your children. Blood doesn't always have to be thicker than water. Update. I received the results this morning, and they've confirmed that the children aren't mine. I've been staying with a friend since then and haven't been back to the house. She's sent me a lot of messages and left a lot of voicemails, but I haven't replied. I know her parents are currently staying with her, and her sister is going to take a flight from down under to stay with her for a while, based on the messages. I've got an appointment with a lawyer this afternoon to make sure I do everything correctly. Getting my name off the certificate seems easy enough, but I just want to make sure I do it with proper legal advice. It's been a very tough weekend, but I think it's for the best to no longer be part of their lives at all. I understand the children are blameless, But I will always hate their mother, and I don't want that to tarnish their relationship with her, any memories of her they may have, or my relationship with them. I love them both dearly, but the hatred I have for their mother currently outweighs that. I've sought advice from elsewhere, and they're young enough that they won't really remember me that much, if at all. We're not married, so it's just a case of walking away. The mortgage is more difficult, as I'll have to continue to pay that for the time being, but I'm speaking to our life insurance provider about it. I'm happy to leave the house to the children. Essentially, I just want a clean break. Thank you for the wide range of advice that was given, it gave me a lot to think about. Thank you also for the torrent of private abuse, which offered me another perspective. The kids are the real losers in this. I hope they don't end up in the system. Maybe a family member would be willing to take them in. That's exactly what I was thinking. OP doesn't want them, mom won't be around to raise them, and bio dad clearly couldn't give a F. What happens to the kiddos? Cause they won't be better off in the system. I hope a grandparent or aunt/uncle can/will take them, cause right now the kid's future sounds really uncertain. I can't believe the mom didn't think through what revealing that would do to her situation. Hopefully she's around long enough to settle her kids' affairs. I don't mean to come off as a judgmental jerk, but how do you walk away from 3-year-olds? These are not infants that I could see someone not bonding with. 3-year-olds are little people with personalities. I can't even imagine just walking away from my kids at that age. You know them and love them, they love you. This is a horrible situation for OP, but I still can't imagine walking away from kids I've bonded with for that long. Maybe OP never felt close to his kids, which is possible. I just feel horrible for those little kids to lose both parents. None of this is their fault. I hope OP will reconsider after the anger cools off. They are innocent, but they're not his problem anymore, and it'd be nice if we didn't insult his intelligence by belittling his decision. If you can remove yourself from this equation while the kids are too young to remember, it may be for the best. Has there been any effort made to contact the actual father? They're 3 years old. Not too young to remember, unfortunately. Even infants react horribly to abandonment. Parental attachment is the most primal thing humans experience. Babies fixate on their mother's face, and are always looking for her or whoever is their primary caregiver. It's a basic evolved survival mechanism. They know and feel safe and secure with this figure who feeds, soothes, and rocks them long before they can conceptualize ideas of mother and father or form memories. When a child loses these figures abruptly through death or parental abandonment, running away, the emotional wound is deep and primal. They are traumatized heavily, and this stays throughout life in many cases. People think they're blank slates who aren't emotionally harmed because they can't talk or yet develop long-term memories. Wrong. People say this to absolve themselves of guilt for being crappy, self-absorbed people who abandon children. In this case, the kids will suffer 2 sudden losses and will be horribly wounded mentally. All because of one idiot, selfish woman and a man who could easily walk away from the deep bond they shared once the lie was revealed. Kids are the biggest victims here. Just plopping them on more family won't heal the wound. On to the next story. 23M revealed my mom's 11-year affair which drove my dad to end his own life. My parents were high school sweethearts. They started dating when they were both 16. They dated for 4 years, and then my mom got pregnant with my oldest sister. Then my dad did the right thing. He dropped out of college, he was on the path to medical school, it was his dream to become a doctor, married mom, and started working at a desk job at my grandpa's company. My parents later had 3 other kids, my older sisters and me. My childhood was pretty normal. Dad worked, mom stayed at home taking care of me and my sisters. Dad was always very present in our lives. My sisters and I were always daddy's girls. We were very attached to him, I was particularly close to him. We had a really deep bond. When I was 13, I was diagnosed with leukemia and he never left my side. He held my hand during chemo sessions the whole time. He consoled me when I had my first heartbreak and assured me that everything would be alright. He taught me how to drive. He walked me down the aisle 3 years ago when I married my husband and told me that was one of the happiest days of his life. I was always his favorite as well. My parents were happy. I never saw them fighting or anything like that. My dad took my mom on date nights at least twice a week. He spoiled her a lot, and they seemed really in love. My parents were the perfect couple. Everyone saw them as something flawless, an example of true love. My mom was my dad's only one, and dad was mom's only one. It was something that he was very proud of, and it was really special for him. I felt really bad when I lost my virginity to my ex-boyfriend and realized that I could never have the same thing as my parents. My dad's mom died during birth, and Grandpa raised him as a single parent. He never remarried, or dated anyone after her death as far as I know. Grandpa refused to talk about Grandma. It was very painful for him. He never met anyone from Grandma's side of the family, and Grandpa didn't talk much about her. In June, I bought a 23andMe kit for me and Dad. I thought it would be cool to see if he had any relatives on Grandma's side, and we did the tests together. We did the tests. I found out that I had 2 half-brothers and that we shared the same father. We were honestly confused. Dad and I didn't understand it. We thought this was a mistake. When we told Mom about this, she froze. She started crying. We pressured her a bit more, and that's when she confessed about her 11-year-long affair with one of my dad's friends. He was our neighbor at a certain point of our lives, and he was in the same class as Dad and Mom. I remember seeing him around when I was a kid. He was a close friend of the family. Dad was in denial. He thought it was a mistake. My sisters and I ended up doing the test at a hospital. 3 days later the results arrived. No one matched with Dad. He was not our father. For the first time in 30 years of my life, I saw my dad cry, not a normal cry, but sobbing like a kid. We tried to talk to him. He got up, grabbed his keys, and left. We tried to call like 100 times and he didn't answer. My mom was having a panic attack, so my oldest sister took her to the hospital. We didn't hear from Dad for 3 whole days. We searched for him everywhere. Eventually, my grandpa found him at the family fishing cabin. He had hanged himself. He didn't leave any notes or anything like that. In 9 days I discovered that my mom had an 11-year affair, that my dad wasn't my biological father, and that he took his own life. It broke me. His funeral was another mess. My dad's side of the family got into a fight with my mom's side of the family. My grandpa and uncles ended up kicking my mom out of the funeral. It was a disaster. The first time I saw my grandpa crying as well. It was something I wish I hadn't seen. He entered a really deep depression after that. He barely speaks anymore. After the funeral, neither my sisters nor I could look at Mom anymore. We just couldn't. I can't look my sisters in the eye as well, and I blame myself every day for suggesting that effing stupid test. Thanksgiving this year was the first time we didn't celebrate as a family, in 33 effing years. I can't look at my mother anymore. She spends her days staring at a wall. Her side of the family is pressuring me and my sisters to re-establish contact, but I just can't. My sisters are also not speaking to her since the funeral. I found out that I am pregnant last week. My husband and I have been trying for the last 2 years, and I'm not even happy. I feel hopeless. I feel broken. Sometimes I start to think about Dad and my heart feels like it is going to explode. I effing miss him so much. Has anyone been in a similar situation? How do I survive this effing guilt? How the hell do I move past this? Any advice is really appreciated. I'm sorry for your loss. As for advice, the trauma you're experiencing is very far above Reddit's pay grade. I get that it's pretty cliché to say this on this sub, but I feel it's definitely warranted in this case. Have you tried therapy? I've been doing therapy for a week now. It helps, but not nearly enough. I've been looking into some local grief support groups, but with COVID it's really hard. The therapist has told you this isn't your fault. Yes, you know it's not your fault. Your dad left you with the happiest memories of your life, your childhood, your remission, and all the other things a father can do for their daughter. His trauma broke him, but it doesn't have to break you. He raised you to be the person you are today. I think the best thing you can do is to be the best parent you can be, just like your dad did for you. One day you can tell your child all about your father, the amazing wonderful person he was. You can carry all the traditions he gave you. You can do all the things he did with you, with your child. Let his love live onward, not his pain. Yes, everyone tells me the same thing, but I just can't help it. If I hadn't suggested the stupid test, this whole thing wouldn't have happened. Stories like this are exactly why infidelity is not a f-king joke. I noticed you mentioned briefly how your mom reacted to the discovery of infidelity, but how did she react to the suicide? She was a mess, couldn't stop crying, but after the funeral she got worse. She had a mental breakdown and spent a week in a hospital. Your mom is 100% responsible for this huge betrayal and the aftermath. Her secrets, lies, and infidelity are what did this, not you. Not you. You could not have known. You were as in the dark about this as your father was. Do not blame yourself. If I were in your place, I don't think I could ever talk to my mother again. Ever. I don't think you have any obligation to speak to her. What I would do going forward is not repeat this situation. Don't keep secrets, don't tell lies, be transparent. Involve your grandfather in this pregnancy if possible or if he shows interest. That may help, or it may just remind him that his own lineage isn't actually continuing. It's a dicey situation. Grief success. Deal with it in waves. Talk about it, or don't, but don't push the thoughts and memories of him away. I lost my dad unexpectedly 6 months ago, so I've got some experience with the loss. He was my best friend, and I moved 1,000 miles away after he died. I just saw my immediate family again, and they're all hollow to me now. I don't think it'll ever be the same, and I've made my peace with that. I just miss him so much. I feel so bad that my future kid is not gonna have him around. It just effing hurts. How do I survive this effing guilt? I know a lot of people will tell you this, but none of this is your fault. Your mom cheated. None of you had any idea this was going on. The test you got was something that seemed fun at the time. Do not regret decisions if they made you happy in the moment. It uncovered something horrible, but that's not your fault. How the hell do I move past this? You don't, not completely. When you love someone, you will always carry them in your heart. Don't force yourself to get past this right away. Allow yourself to grieve, ask your husband for support when you need it. Don't be scared to ask for help. Maybe talking to your sisters could help since you're all affected by this. Stick close with your loved ones, because you need them now more than ever. Also, congratulations on the baby. You've been trying for years, and now you finally have a little miracle growing inside of you. Maybe you feel so guilty that you don't allow yourself to be happy about this. But if that, you are having a baby. All you can do is remember how your father raised you and apply this to your future child. Don't forget about your father, but let his spirit live on in yourself and your children. As far as I'm concerned, your dad is your real father, and I'm sure he would wish you and your baby nothing but happiness. Carry on his memory and legacy, seek shelter with loved ones, and continue your therapy. Time might not heal this wound completely, but it will get easier to carry this load later on.